Friday mailbag, and you guys are going to make us make predictions. The only question is, how wrong are we going to be?
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, and thanks for making Locked On Nebraska your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by KALSHI. For a limited time, download the KALSHI app and use the code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10.
Okay, hello, welcome in. I'm Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Connor Happer, 1620 The Zone is right there. You saying predictions like got my hair to stand up there for a second. I just realized we're gonna have to make more predictions this month about like wins and losses and things like that. But
I'm ready.
Not yet. Some other predictions today. It is the mailbag show. We've made it through another week, the first full week of Nebraska preseason camp. Huskers are on the field today. On Friday, we'll hear from the OC, Dana Holgerson, from DeKeel Shorts, and he's the wide receivers coach, and then a few players. And then Saturday, there's maybe something like a scrimmage. We'll see what they have to say today, if they're going to actually scrimmage on Saturday or what that'll look like. But Matt Rhule is going to address the media after whatever it is that Nebraska does on the field on Saturday.
Sweet. Well, we're ready. We'll be here for all of it. Let's get to your guys' questions. Here we go. Here is Jacob. Who is your dark horse pick for a player to emerge this season that maybe is not getting talked about at this point? A prediction.
This one is a prediction. Well, I would say Dexter Foster, but I talked about him a lot on our Thursday show. And I think other people have been talking about Dexter Foster this week, because he came to the media room and looked like a Big Ten linebacker. That's for sure. I will say somebody people are not talking about. Emerge. Does Quasi Gilmer count? No. How about? I think he's already emerged because he emerged when he came via the portal, so he doesn't count. All right, here's one. Eric Ingwerson.
Oh, nice.
That's down there. That he has yet to emerge, but I think there could be a lot of opportunities for him as a big second tight end to pair with Lindenmeyer or Carter Nelson.
Yeah, I think some of this is like, where are they coming from? So you could say Gilmer and be like, well, what's the expectation for him? And I think he's going to exceed it. So like anybody could, be a breakout, or emerge, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't really look at a portal guy in that role because they're emerging from what? They haven't played it down at Nebraska yet. So I'm limiting it to returning players, which is why I'm going with Ingwerson.
All right, I'm not. I'm gonna go with Victor Evans, who has got some run over the last couple of days here. So yes, people are talking about him a little bit, but I think he's gonna play a role in that secondary. An addition for Nebraska in the offseason that was just not really talked about at all. Went completely under the radar. Matt Rhule talked about it last week. He was a text from Vincent Shavers, and now is one of the fastest guys on the team. And so I think he's going to end up making a difference for him in that room that's pretty crowded with defensive backs.
I'll give you another one. Preston Taumua. Preston Taumua emerges this year.
Nice.
At some point, you can't just expect your offensive line top 5. It'd be great if they could, but at some point there'll be a need for another guard, and he's my guy. He's the guy I think will step up.
I'll do one more too. Give me Isaiah Mosey.
Oh,
he will emerge.
That's solid.
There hasn't been much emerging yet.
It's a solid choice.
Thank you.
From James, next question. We go to James in Winchester. That's how you pronounce that. I think it's Winchester. Well, that'd probably be if it was in the way up in like the Northeast. Winchester, Virginia. The 2026 season is now in the books. Whoa, we've moved ahead in time. We are handing out our Oscars for the best of performances, and here are the categories. Who do you predict will be our most deserving to win at the end of the season? The nominees are the nominees. I like that. That means we can't pick somebody else that he
has to be one of these guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll start this. I'll be the the person who goes on stage with the envelope. The best supporting role player on offense. Your nominees are Carter Nelson, Demetrius Bell, Quinn Clark.
Should I pick?
Yeah, I think so.
Out of those three, give me Quinn Clark.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I would have picked as well.
Mm-hmm.
No more needs to be said about that. Best supporting player on defense, supporting role player on defense. Nominees are Christian Jones, Jordan Ochoa, Sua Lefotu.
That's good. I don't know. I don't know how big any of their roles are going to be. I think probably Jones has the best chance to get on the field, but Lefotu is right there in that interior D-line conversation too. Give me Christian Jones.
Okay. Omaha West Side. I'm going Lefotu.
Okay.
I think that he can crack the two deep, and going back and re-listening to Rob Orich's comment from early this week, he did say they want to play 6 interior defensive linemen. I had to be certain of that and I wanted to be clear that he wasn't talking about the whole D line, which would have seemed low for the whole D line, but it seems high for the D tackles. He wants to play 6, go into the season and have 6 ready. And it probably won't be 6 in November because something will happen to somebody. But I think Sua Lefotu is in that group of 6 right now.
Okay. Best script adaptation. I like this. Coordinators: Dana Holgerson, Rob Orich, Brett Maher. Give me my guy.
They're all going to be asked to do some of this.
Give me my guy. Give me my brother, Rob.
I'm looking for the picture here. There we go.
Give it to me.
I'm not going to pick him. I mean, he's going to be doing some adapting, no doubt. But I'm going to say Dana Holgerson is the guy who has the best adaptation, because his adaptation was truly on the fly. You had a day in January where you thought you were going one direction, and then all of a sudden you needed to find a new direction. And they did with Anthony Calandria as a rushed portal addition. And I think that they're going to adapt. Dana is going to do a nice job of adapting to his new quarterback.
Okay. All right. I'm going with Orich because I think that defense will get better quickly, and he's my guy. So yeah, absolutely. As we've talked about, best leading man, the nominees are Owen Chambliss, Andrew Marshall, Mekhi Nelson, and Janiran Bonner.
Odd omission here to not have the quarterback, but I guess James does not want us to just choose the quarterback. He wants to toughen this question up a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go with the quarterback of the defense, Owen Chambliss.
Yeah, me too. I mean, you could also say Isaiah Hunter. You could also say Ja'Cory Barney. You could also,
the nominees are the nominees.
But the nominees are the nominees. And if that is the case, I'm going with Owen Chambliss as well. Best picture on how surprisingly good it looked on the field. And I like that. And the nominees are which game? The UCLA game.
These are teams.
Oh,
these are just.
I see.
These are just which team looks surprisingly good on the field.
That makes sense because Nebraska doesn't play either UCLA or Penn State this year.
That's how I figured it out.
Which team will be better out of these three? UCLA, Penn State, or Nebraska?
So, yeah, surprisingly better, like playing above the expectations. Well,
yeah.
I'm just going to kind of take Nebraska out of this question. You didn't say that we had to consider all the nominees, James. We talk enough about Nebraska on here, and it's hard for me to. So I'm just looking at UCLA and Penn State. I changed the rules. Okay. I'm sorry. I like both those coaches, and it shouldn't just be based on the coaches. But I'll say Penn State because there's more talent.
I was looking at Penn State today. They have such an easy schedule. They got such a great break with their schedule this year. They don't play any of the top 3 teams. I'm not sure if Campbell's going to be been really year. Yeah, right. I'm not sure if he's going to be really, really good for a long time, but God, they have a chance to go to the playoff right away just because of their schedule.
Whoa.
They do. They absolutely do. Look at their schedule. They could go 10-2 right off the bat. And so they play, like USC, Michigan, and one other difficult game. UCLA is my pick, though. I think Bob Chesney is going to surprise some people this year. Give me Bob.
I love Bob Chesney. All right, bonus question. Over under on the number of turnovers in the first 3 games it would take before 2023 Sims PTSD kicks in and Rhule pulls Calandria.
That's, I mean, come on. That's not, we're not going down that road. That was he turned the ball over on like 80% of the time he touched it. Like that was ridiculous.
We'll just say if that happens, then yeah, you're gonna see TJ Lateef or Danny Kalen. I'll say in order for that to happen, Anthony Calandria would have to commit in the first 3 games 8 turnovers.
Let's get more than that.
Okay.
It has to be more.
They got some other guys there. They might want to test them out. Okay. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, and we got a question from Ted who's very confused about how the schedule works these days in college football. That's coming up. Oh, but right now, a word from Indeed. Support for today's episode comes from Indeed-sponsored jobs. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed-sponsored jobs helps you connect employers with candidates who match specific needs. They have skills, certifications, and locations. So then less time gets spent searching and more time gets spent finding the right fit. People like you are finding quality hires on Indeed right now. In the minute that we've been chatting about Indeed, companies have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data, worldwide. So usually the biggest difference is not someone doing more work. It's someone who knows how to do the right work, exactly when it needs to happen, where it needs to happen, and what needs to happen to make everything run more smoothly. So spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less time, less stress, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Go there now, Indeed.com/podcast, and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs.
Okay, back to the questions we go. Here's Ted in Wimberley, Texas. I consider myself a fairly well-informed Husker/college football fan, but I'm hoping you could elaborate on how the team prepares itself and installs a new offense or defense before the season. My understanding is that there are 3 phases. Spring ball, where coaches are allowed for it's okay. Yeah, we'll get to some of these. Summer training where the coaches are not allowed, and then fall camp where practice is intense, and then you make the depth charts. How put together is the team by the time that fall camp starts? Are there players practicing plays on their own during the summer, just lifting weights? Seems like a lot could go wrong if college age kids are left to their own devices during that period. Stuff that coaches might have to untrain in fall camp. Just over 2 months of coached practices doesn't seem like a lot for any team to prepare. Plus, bonus question, have you ever seen Luke Fickell and Rob Riggle in the same room? Great question. Thank you.
Rob Riggle of Kansas City fame.
How?
That's all I know about Rob Riggle.
I haven't personally seen him in the same room, but I see it. I see what you're saying, Ted. Like I got you there. Like we need Luke Fickell to say "pow," give me a good pow or something like that, and see what happens.
Okay. All right. Let's straighten this out. So, yes, on spring, coaches are allowed in. They have full practices. They can have 15 practices.
15
in the spring. The summer, they now have work in the summer with the coaches on the field. It's more limited than the spring, but through the month of June, they have OTAs, off-season training activities. They don't break out the pads. They're not hitting, but there's a lot of work. And coaches more and more are saying today that the install goes more smoothly and happens at with more efficiency, we should say, in the month of June, because there isn't all of the other stuff. You're not worried about scrimmaging and a lot of the necessities of football that happen in the spring. And then and also, by the way, in the summer when the coaches are not working with them, the players are working with Corey Campbell and the strength staff. And Corey Campbell, there's a reason that he makes $1 million as the Nebraska strength coach, because he is in a very valuable position. They're not on their own. They're not winging it. They are working on a very diligent plan designed by a highly paid coach to make sure that they are physically in the right place to go into what is now fall camp. Yes, about 30 days. And you are right, Ted, about what fall camp entails.
Yeah, I would say this. If it seems like a short ramp up, it's not really, because I mean, look at all the other sports in the like the best training that you get is to play games. And like, honestly, I bet if you ask them, like some coaches would tell you that they're never prepared. They never feel like they're ready. And some coaches would tell you like, all right, let's just go play a game and we got to see what happens. And that's how we figure out what we got. And at some point in the next probably week or so, Nebraska is going to arrive at that inflection point during fall camp. Like you just want to go play and figure out what you are. That's how you really get answers to what your team is.
Okay, Greg in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. We'll get through this question so we can get to some good stuff after this. Sorry, Greg. I don't mean to poop on you like that. But hi, fellas. I get the sense that Coach Rhule, unlike former coaches, i.e. Callahan. Oh, I read this wrong. This question makes a little more sense now. I get the sense that Coach Rhule, unlike former coaches, for example, Callahan, cares about the players as maturing men, not just players. Does this count for as much as a winning season? Well, it counts, but at the end of it, you got to win.
Yeah. I mean,
it's nice to have a coach who, and I wouldn't say that about really anybody who's been in that seat. Some express it better. And you could argue that some coaches, Matt Rhule, near the top of the list. I mean, think about Mike Riley and the care that he had for his team, specifically through the situation with the death of Sam Foltz. And you can say things about Mike Riley's readiness for that job and the fit that he was, but he absolutely cared about his players. And I definitely think that Bo Pelini did. I think that Scott Frost did. I think that Bill Callahan did. I think that Frank Solich did. So Matt Rhule just expresses it very well. And you hear a lot about it because he has different methods of communication at his disposal today than what some of those others did.
Oh, yeah. You want it's a prerequisite. Like Nebraska's not going to. I don't think Nebraska's a place where you could bring in a coach who like blatantly has a disregard for that type of stuff. Like it's just not. It's a non-starter here because you're so much a part of the fabric of the state and you're so much a part of the community and all these different things. So what's it worth? Like a lot. Like you want to have he's that person in that spot is the main representative, the face of the voice of really the entire state in a lot of different ways. So it's important, but not like you have to win in order to stay in the job. And that's ultimately, how you keep it.
Okay. Here's one from Sean. Why is nobody talking about what Matt Rhule said at Big Ten Media Days during his side session while discussing future coaching hires? Rhule said schools may stop caring primarily about a coach's resume and start asking, how many players are they bringing? He pointed to coaches changing jobs and taking significant pieces of their rosters with them. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I heard something else. This sounded like a warning shot. I love Matt Rhule and think firing him would be a massive mistake, but there are plenty of knee-jerk Husker fans who want the coach fired every time something goes wrong. Under today's transfer rules, firing a coach doesn't necessarily mean replacing one guy anymore. You could lose a significant portion of the roster with him.
Yeah. So what's the question, I guess?
Is it a warning shot? Was Rhule saying, don't fire me because if you do, I might take the whole team with me? That's not how I mean, you could interpret it that way, but that's not how I interpreted it. Well, if anything, if there was a hidden meeting there, go ahead.
Sorry, if Nebraska fires Matt Rhule, I would expect him to take the whole team with it. Like
whoever wants to go.
Yeah, sure.
That's what coaches do.
Yeah,
I think he's just pointing out a reality. But I also think, I also think that he's that's what it is. It's I don't look at it as him issuing a warning to Nebraska fans. I think also that he's saying it'd be a good idea for schools around the country, not just Nebraska in his situation, but for schools around the country to tread lightly before they make decisions to fire coaches, because there are major ramifications. And you can see what's happening at, say, Iowa State this year, where they had to have 80 new players on the roster as a result of a coaching change. Now, Matt Campbell didn't get fired, but there are places where a coach gets fired and then you're doing something, maybe not that dramatic, but something similar.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe I'm not reading into it enough, because I very much viewed it as like how it's been going in college football these days, where you hire a coach and you're bringing X amount of your roster with them. And it started, like it's been popularized over the last couple of years because of what Cignetti was able to do at James Madison and then at Indiana to start off. Like that very clearly gave him a leg up on what they were doing in the immediate at Indiana. So I don't know, maybe I'm not reading into it enough, but that's sort of how I thought about it.
You're probably right. And like both paths, that both the one that I read into it and the one that Sean read into it are probably overthinking. I mean, you remember on this side podium, he's standing there taking questions, or sitting there taking questions for 45 minutes, just rapid fire. And not everything has great depth and meaning and three different, side possibilities.
Right. All right.
Let's go to Eric in Denver.
All right, here we go. Has Nebraska outgrown the single digits? Seems like a gimmick that worked in year one and has lost a little fizz each season since. Are they still planning to do it this year as a symbol of toughness?
Well, the players who were awarded single digits last year are running around camp with them right now, as long as they are still in the program. Like Riley Van Poppel is in number 5. Vincent Shavers is wearing 9. I agree with that assessment that it doesn't seem to be as prevalent. Haven't heard any questions about it this year, but usually they do that late in camp, and I don't think they're going to do away with it. I think it's just more like business as usual, and it's handled within the team, and it's not going to be something where there's a lot of pomp and circumstance around it.
Yeah, I would agree. That's what I was going to say. Feels like they'll make a little bit less of a big deal about it this year, which that's been the story of the entire offseason.
Yeah. Okay, take a break. We got about 6 more to do on the other side. We'll get to that after this.
First, a word from KALSHI before the season kicks off. We're making predictions. You're making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoff? Who wins a big game at the end? On KALSHI, America's #1 prediction market platform, you could trade on those predictions in a live market. You can get specific with the sport events that happen in the world. I mean, truly, there's a little bit of everything. But if we're talking sports, you could look at it right now where maybe you are interested in taking a look at a back-to-back NFL champion, a back-to-back Super Bowl champion at the end of the year. If you trade $100 on the Seattle Seahawks right now, you could potentially get paid out over $1,100 on KALSHI right now. They're trading at a 9% chance. On KALSHI, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there is no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Trade the draft pick, the game, and more on KALSHI. Download the KALSHI app and use the code LOCKEDON to get up to $500 of bonus credits when you trade $25. KALSHI, KALSHI. Trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. KALSHI products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. And a word.
And go ahead.
Yeah, let's hear from Odoo as well. Running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them talk to each other. That's where we bring Odoo to you. Odoo is an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales, accounting, inventory, marketing, everything works in one place in concert, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of wasting your time with dumb stuff, managing software, stuff that's not right up your alley. You want to have all the cogs of the wheel working together and moving in the same direction. That's what Odoo is going to help you do, because we all know that is what makes a great organization. And that's can be the thing that stops a great organization from being great if you don't have that. So great organizations win because operations matter. That's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today. Odoo.com/lockedon. ODOO.com/lockedon.
Okay, just a quick pause, because as we're recording this, Nebraska has just put out a video within the last hour that is the greatest piece of social media content that I think I've ever seen from the Nebraska football program during a preseason camp. The Huskers went to a swimming pool.
Yep.
Looks like a lot of linemen went to a swimming pool, and there's a photo of somebody doing a backflip. Pretty cool. And there's a video of a couple of guys going off of a diving board.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one is definitely Dylan Berryman going off the diving board.
It's one of those guys, when you see that guy get on the diving board, you're like, all right, we got to stop everything. This guy's about
That's
to jump
why they turned on the camera.
Yeah. He put on a little bit of a show and jumped right in. He didn't stick the landing much, but
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily call it graceful. I think it's probably a good idea that he didn't linger on the edge of the diving board for all that long. Yeah. Whew.
That's a big man.
That's a run stopper right there for you.
That's a big man. A big young man, I suppose.
True freshman. Or just freshman. All right. We go back to the bag from Brad in Americus, Kansas. Thanks for keeping us informed. Love the show, guys. You made a comment about the biggest star on campus relating to a football player. I would argue that it is Price Sanford. My question is unrelated. Many fans of the football team are at arm's length for fear of letdown. I am waiting to see how the team does before I buy any tickets this year. My bold prediction is that if we lose to Michigan State, the fans will check out and the sellout streak will die.
Yeah, this is definitely sellout streak. People are starting to wonder about if the sellout streak is going to make it if stuff goes wrong, like that kind of territory. I think they'll be okay. Also, like if you're into it, and I know like if you're in Kansas, it takes a lot and whatever, and you got to weigh some stuff.
Yeah.
But buy the tickets. Like, come on, like you don't have to just support your team by buying the tickets, but like don't be afraid of going to the game and them losing. It's okay. Stay on it, and maybe one day they'll pay you off just like Nebraska basketball did this year.
Americus is a little town just north of Emporia, Kansas, kind of in a triangular shape between Manhattan and Topeka to the south.
All right,
about a 4-hour drive from. Well, it's a little less than that. It's a 4-hour drive from where I am right now, so probably closer to a 3.5-hour drive.
About an hour drive at a private airport in Omaha.
Yeah, a place called Americus. I'm with you. It's not that far. You're not coming 9 hours. Just buy the tickets, Brad. Come on up. If they lose, you can drive home, and
that's right. It's sad either way.
You'll be all right. You'll be all right. It is. You can't turn your TV off if you're at the game.
My prediction is that the sellout streak does not die, for the record.
Okay, we got to get on our horse here.
Okay.
From Dr. Rex. I've been reading players' comments recently about working hard in practice and improving on our atrocious 2025 red zone defense. Boy, we've gotten to the positive part of the mailbag. Aside from the fact that the field is more compressed in this situation, shouldn't the defense you play in the red zone be the same as any other place on the field? You still have to be assignment sound, defeat blocks, cover receivers, maintain gap integrity. Is it just a matter of ramping up the intensity? Please help me understand.
So the question is basically why were they so bad in the red zone last year? Well, yeah. I do think you actually found a way to answer your question, Rex, because they were bad at defense last year. Like it got so far off the rails. Yeah. Guys weren't in the right spots, and I think it probably lacked a little bit of an intensity and an edge to it at the end of the year, certainly. And guys were thinking too much, and all these different things. And then you got to have stoppers too. But I think your general theory is right. It's similar principles. And I don't think Nebraska was very good at the regular stuff last year either.
Remember when the spread offense became a thing and Mike Leach was running it and then other schools started running it and Lincoln Riley was doing it. And the knock on those teams was that when they got into the playoff and they played a team with a great defense from the SEC, that they could move the ball, but they couldn't score touchdowns. That's because they didn't run the ball well. And when you're in the red zone, it is still defense. And Rex, you got all those things right. Like, I don't think I know anything more about football than you do, but I'm just like putting the pieces together and basing this on some things I've heard historically. And I just know that you need to be able to run the ball in the red zone. You can't just be a team that airs it out. And Nebraska was especially bad at defending the run last year.
Yeah,
like you could get 5 yards on that defense without a whole lot of things to happen outside the norm.
Stop of the run, third down defense, red zone defense. I mean, it was all not very good. Here's Scott in Windsor. What is going on with Matt Rhule? He's been eerily quiet this summer. No sloganeering, no grand pronouncements, no social media tour. What's a social media tour? Has the slog back to relevance broke him? Is this a directive from someone higher on the university? Could it be that he knows he's sitting on a good team and is acting like the proverbial cat who swallowed the canary? Do you have any theories?
I mean, I think we've been talking about this in some shape or form, and Scott's been listening along the way and writing us mailbag questions every week. So thank you. But I think this just goes back to what we've been saying all year, is that it's a deliberate attempt to be under the radar and not attract unnecessary attention.
Absolutely.
And all the things that you described are just that. I don't know about the proverbial cat who swallowed the canary. He's got like the mischievous look on his face. Like, I know something you don't know. Maybe not, but I do think he believes he has a good team. I do think he believes that he has a good offensive line and made some smart coaching changes and has more experience and talent than he has at any point in his career.
Look, just to compare it, I mean, I think he likes his team more than he did last year. And he was awfully, complimentary of the team going into last year. So I think that pretty much tells you exactly what you said, Mitch. This is purposeful. I mean, they're toning it down, and they're going to try and let the walk the walk instead of talk the talk. Here is Steven in Kansas City. Does having 5 full-time coaches split across offensive and defensive lines actually move the needle for player development this season, or is it overblown?
I do not think it's overblown. I think it's the area where Nebraska needed the biggest change from a year ago, and that was evident by the dismissal of the offensive line coach and the defensive line coach and the defensive coordinator. And it's not coincidental or just any kind of a surprise that when you go watch the Nebraska offensive and defensive lines at practice, that there are fewer players because the roster is getting smaller and more coaches.
Yep.
So
that matters.
Defensive line has Corey Brown and then Roy Manning and Phil Simpson. And I don't know about like full-time status of Dave Tollefson, but he played in the NFL and he's got a big voice. And I think he has an impact on that room. So they have 4 coaches for 4 positions. And then the O-line has Jeep Wade, Lonnie Teasley, and Aaron Cooling, who's been around for longer than any of those coaches that I mentioned. So he goes back to the Frost years. So,
yeah, I hope that you see some results of that. I don't know if we'll be able to tie it directly back to that, but no doubt, the more individual, coaching, I think is good.
I think it's the biggest change from last year to this year is the emphasis on line play and backing it up with real action instead of just words.
Yeah. All right. A couple more. They're both related to 5 for 5. Here's Colton.
Oh yeah.
Howdy there, gentlemen. One thing I feel hasn't been talked about enough is the 5 for 5 and how it affects the players and playing time. For instance, do you see a guy like Danny Odom factoring into, or how do you see him factoring into this season? More specifically, how would a true freshman or talented player like him be utilized in the past as opposed to this upcoming season? How about Jeremiah Jones? He might not be a freshman, and while he may be learning a new position, what do you think is different in terms of playing time as opposed to past years, especially now that the coaches know that they can use players limitlessly without burning a year of eligibility? I truly believe that will allow a guy like Jones or Odom to have an impact on this year's team. Thoughts? Thank you for taking the time to read out our fans, our questions. We appreciate your insight. Thanks. Awesome.
Was he just thinking out loud there at the end?
Yeah. You got it.
I don't think that those are the two players I would choose to use as being impacted by 5 for 5, because I think Danny Odom was probably going to skip a redshirt this year, even if it's just for primarily a role on special teams. He's not a name that we've heard. Maybe we will as camp gets further along and he's not swimming in it as much. We did hear about him in the spring. He's the highest rated high school recruit in this signing class. But I think they feel really good about Andrew Marshall and about Jeremiah Charles and Victor Evans, as you named him your breakout player this year. And in a normal year, they might say, hey, Danny Odom, like, go play special teams. If you end up playing in more than 4 games, fine. I don't think he's a player that they really look at as like someone who's going to be in the program for in the old way, like for 5 years anyway. But now you just don't have to think about it. You can just play. That's
it.
Yeah. And then with Jones, there's no difference because he's already redshirted.
Right. Yeah. You don't have to think about it. I think was the key line there. Like, you have special teams and you could put Danny Odom out there. If it, like, the bottom line is you have to be good enough to get on the field, point blank, period. We don't know if Odom is yet. But if he is, and he's a true freshman this year, you don't have to think about it, which is great. You have access to all your players without limitations at all times.
The player who it might affect the most, just looking at the way the running backs shape up this year, is Matt Rhule. Because if he's the 4th string running back, in the past, you would have probably said, let's pick and choose because we got to find 4 games to put him in. And maybe you don't play him against Bowling Green, even though there's an opportunity for him to play because you're trying to save him for 4 Big Ten games. And then he ends up not playing in that game and misses an opportunity to gain a bunch of confidence and bust off a 50-yard run or something like that in the 4th quarter. Right. And that's where it will help somebody like that. You just don't have to think about it. Just play him. If he's ready to play him.
All right, here's Gigi in Las Cruces to finish us out. Enjoy your show every day. Your research and analysis makes your show the best. Thank you. My question, women's volleyball in the new 5 for 5 with the senior class. Do players stay an extra year or go to the professional domestic league or for a pay cut or have to go overseas for competitive salaries? Thoughts? Waving back, Gigi. All right, awesome.
It's a case by case situation with Nebraska's 4 seniors this year in volleyball. Some of them unquestionably would be able to make more money staying at Nebraska and cashing in on NIL opportunities that are connected to the school. Some of them have NIL opportunities or just endorsements that will go with them during their professional careers. Some could command big salaries in the pro league, while some may not as much. Although I think with the senior class, at least 3 of them would be highly, highly coveted in pro volleyball, either overseas or domestically. So they're playing it coy. They're not answering the question. They're just saying it's a great option to have. We're thinking about it, but we haven't come to any conclusions. And that's what Danny Busboom Kelly echoed in her media availability on Thursday when asked about it. I do think that they have a better idea what they want to do, because the pro leagues, they want to know if they're going to have access to Bergen Riley or Harper Murray or Andy Jackson in this upcoming season, which starts in the winter, like 4 months from now.
Right. That draft happens before the NCAA tournament, I believe, or like right during the NCAA.
For MLV. Yeah. And then League One just signs players. They don't have a draft.
Yeah. Fascinating. So I think you're right. Every situation is completely different. And, like, as I always say with these situations, another thing that I always like to think about is just 5 years at one place is a long time. And
it is.
It just is. And
it is.
Like, some people are probably going to want to, Allie Batenhorst did this, right? Just Go somewhere else for the 5th year.
Yeah, you've graduated.
Yeah. There's they
Some
have
of it's
all
that
the
too. Like they might not want to be in school anymore.
They have all the options at their fingertips because of how good they are.
Yeah. It can just, like you said, it can just get long. So I think all of those players that we mentioned, the seniors on Nebraska volleyball, are going into this season and approaching this like it is their last year. And if the forces align that allow them and bring them back in 2027, then it'll just be a bonus.
All right. A couple extra minutes for you guys today. We appreciate you sending in your questions, but I think we got to all of them. So thank you for listening this week. Make sure you have a great weekend. Check us out in all the places that you can get us. If you're watching along on video, we'll send you over to the first ever 24/7 National Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel on audio. Make your second listen Locked On College Football. Thanks and have a good weekend.